Hi, this is Paul, Golden Gate Enterprises. We are at a hillside property in San Carlos, and believe that part of this is actually the floor above, and we've got a deck here, I believe, that has waterproofing membrane on this part of it. So this is a post and beam construction. This comes out about 5-10 feet plus another 3 feet, so maybe 14-15 feet. What we have is we have a girder. It looks like it's pocketed into the wall here, and the girder has started to warp and rotate, and you can get a better view of that from here, and you can see it's pretty well rotated. Serious concern that this beam comes and falls off the post that's in here. And then if we look over here, we have a post, and by the way, while we're looking at this, I want you to see we're probably 25-30 feet off the ground. This post is nothing more than toenailed into that girder, and that girder at the end is completely rotted. Okay, so that's the beginning part of the story here. Then we look at this deck here, we look at the nice view that's over here, and now we're going to give you the rest of the story. We come down to side of the house. We've got wobbly stairs. We've got stairs that are attached to the side of the house. But let's get to the fun part of the story here. We are in this type of country, by the way. This is the next door neighbor. Grade beam, piers, posts, all that kind of fun stuff going up here, supporting the back half of the house. But let's see this particular house here. This particular house here has a set of 5 cantilevered arms that come out, and you can see these cantilevered arms that come out, and they support the lower floor of the house. We have this big load-bearing structural wall here, which I'm looking at. I don't know if this is a structural crack, but it's a crack I just happened to see. I'll assume it's just a hairline crack at this point. The wall looks pretty good. Pretty significant wall. And I am going to guess that the construction of this arm here is a girder that's on the underside that comes up, and it pockets into a metal bracket on top of the wall here, and then it's probably stick framed as a wall, and there's probably a top plate, maybe even a top girder, and probably framing in there, and then it's all sheared. And that's kind of what you're looking at here. So let's take a look at the problem we have here. The outside cantilevered arm on the corner of this house, we have several things going on here. One is at the very tip of the cantilevered arm, the girder that post on the outer deck is resting on, it's all rotted at the end. And that girder is sitting on the top of this cantilevered arm, and I can see the rot pocket that's up there. It's actually sunk down into it. So we got rot going on there. The bigger problem is that, let's go over here. I didn't bring my pen down with me, but if you look underneath here, okay, that's the underside of this girder here. And I'm going to use my finger, but this is completely rotted. My finger's up there 4 or 5 inches. I was able to stick a pen up there 8, 9, 10 inches. This is the main girder coming down into the pocket here. These bolts are probably into nothing more than rot. Don't really know what's holding this up. You can see the bulge in this here with the pressure coming down. And let's go underneath the house so we can get a better look at the problem. The problem is that if you're looking at this cantilevered arm down where it comes into this metal bracket, there's a big bulge here. And this bulge is, from a quick line of logic, the pressure of the failed girder all mushing and pushing out, and you can even feel moisture in here, and I could just dig away all the rot. This is just the plywood sheathing that's here. The bolt is pretty well rusted out, and you can follow the whole support piece in here. It looks like, I can't tell from here if that's a steel column that this is sitting on or it's a cement column. It looks like a steel column that's embedded into a big huge concrete pier, and that's what each one of these big arms is sitting on. We've got these cross support pieces that are here. So the problem is, clearly they've got significant rot at the end of this girder that's here, probably this piece also, since they both dive into the same bucket, and it's supporting, you know, in theory, the outside edge and 1/5 of the house. We've got the front edge of the deck, and a couple of possible solutions are, at a high level, pull this all out, replace it. Easier said than done. Have to build a huge temporary support wall. We are probably from that front edge 10, 20, 30 feet down to the ground. So not an insignificant temporary support effort and structure. And the other possible solution is, or, you know, depending on what it is, let's assume that the bottom foot of this girder underneath here, this is the big structural piece. This is probably about 6, 7, 8, probably 8 to 10 inches wide. I'm assuming that's the girder that comes all the way up. Let's assume that the end of that girder is in fact rotted for even, let's say, 6 inches, 8 inches, a foot up that way, a foot up that way. Could we possibly go ahead and fabricate a metal bracket, structurally secure it into this? I don't care, bolt it through the cement wall. By the way, that cement wall is probably a good foot thick, and bring it out and get into the good meat of the girder and cut out the rotted piece, and then open all this up and tie this together with more structural shear and strapping and all the other kind of good stuff, that basically come up with something from here, whether it's concrete and steel appended into the wall structurally on both sides. So that's kind of a quick view, and we may have to open this up more in order to kind of see how much damage is here, but that's kind of what the project is here, and we will have to determine the technical fix based on the scope of damage. And I'm also going to say that probably these stairs need to be reattached on here. They're just literally blocked in with a couple of blocks to the side. I'm not quite sure how this whole thing is even held up, and you can see the whole thing is rotating. And if we come out, we can see the edge of the deck up there, the girder that's sticking out. So all of this is kind of tied together. I'm also looking at, while I'm squinting up here, this is another structural girder that's coming across, and I don't know if it's just for this part of the deck, but the whole outside edge of that, the last foot of it is completely rotted out. So kind of all this goes together, and there, if I squint up there and give you that picture, my concern is anything we touch down below, that post and beam connection fails, we get the upper deck that ends up coming down on our head. So all that has to be accounted for here. Okay, so this is Paul, Golden Gate Enterprises, with another significant structural dry rot repair job here, and there's another view of it. Okay, thank you. And I'll walk up the stairs one more time so you can see exactly what's happening here. Okay, and there's that post and beam on the outside rotted corner. So have an issue of anything we monkey with down there, could have this piece coming down with us. And there's a better view. That's the projection of the deck, and you can see that this part is actually enclosed living space, a floor upstairs that's being supported by this whole system. So if this were to fail, looks like this whole part of the house would come down. And I would tell you also, for sake of discussion, these joists are significantly underspanned. Those are at best 2x6s, and we've got 3, 6, 7, 8 feet. So probably a good 8, 9 feet from that wall to that girder, and then you've got 2.5, 3 foot cantilever. Okay, so that's a quick view of what's going on here. Thank you.